Carl Jung, an early 20th century psychiatrist, developed a theory of the human psyche which he outlined in his 1921 book, Psychologists Type In. Psychological types. People, he observed, could be broadly described by two different attitudes toward the external world, extroversion and introversion. Extroverted people direct their energy toward the outside world, to objective happenings. Introverted people direct their energy toward the internal world, to subjective happenings. This general attitude of engaging or withdrawing from the environment can be seen from a young age, before any ego development begins. But Jung was not satisfied with just these two categories. They seemed woefully incomplete, so he went on to outline four basic psychological functions: sensation, thinking, feeling, and intuition. Sensation is the function concerned with the five senses and tells a person that something exists. Thinking tells what the thing is. It adds a concept and a name. Feeling tells a person what the value of the thing is. What is it worth? This is different from emotions, which are accompanied by physiological responses of the body. Emotions have a physical manifestation, such as sweating or increased heart rate, while feelings are purely mental. Lastly, intuition is responsible for hunches. It is easily mixed up with the feeling function, since it is often described as a type of feeling, but intuition is not a value judgment. Intuition is a type of perception, albeit one that does not go by the five senses. These functions exist on two axes, where the opposing functions cannot be used at the same time. Thinking and feeling, the two rational or decision-making functions, are on one axis. The other axis is made up of sensation and intuition, the two irrational or perception-based functions. Each person has a function that comes the most naturally. That is their primary way of adapting to the world. This is the dominant function and part of the conscious mind. It is either extroverted or introverted in nature. Since the psyche is a self-balancing system, the unconscious functions have the opposite attitude toward the external world. The opposite function to the dominant is inferior and subconsciously suppressed, since it interferes with the dominant function. However, it is needed to balance the person's psyche and prevent them from becoming too extreme. If suppressed too much, it will try to reassert itself, erupting into consciousness and producing unhealthy, self-destructive behaviors. From these principles, Jung outlined 8 basic psychological types. Still, he acknowledged that these types rarely occur in their pure forms, and thus described the concept of auxiliary functions. The auxiliary function is a function that aids the dominant one, acting as an advisor or sidekick, and give variations on the pure type. The auxiliary function can never be the opposing function to the dominant one, since they are too antagonistic to each other's operation. But it can be either of the remaining two. For example, a thinking type may have sensation or intuition as the auxiliary function, but never feeling. The auxiliary function serves as a means of development for the individual, a pathway to discovering the rest of their lower functions. All four are necessary for navigating the world, and while they can't all be equally valued in the ego, one can develop their lower functions. This moves a person towards individuation, fulfilling their potential, and becoming their fully realized self. Carl Jung's ideas have been influential not only in psychiatry, but in popular culture as well. His psychological types popularized the idea of introverts and extroverts, and interpretation of his work by Isabel Briggs Myers and Catherine Cook Briggs created the popular MBTI personality assessment. His ideas are not unchallenged. The current scientific model of personality is the Big Five, and the validity of his other concepts of the human psyche are debated. However, Jung's contributions have still left a lasting impression across many fields, and may provide a helpful guide to self-awareness and development.